It's way too loud. Yeah, it's always way too loud. Let's see. Oh, oh, lordy lord. Yeah. Uh-huh. Shop Talk podcast. Oh, it's a getaway life from the white bench. Got some stuff going on this week. Some NBA news. Kyrie Irving should still be playing here in Cleveland, especially now that the King is gone. Should have kept Dion Waiters. Whole squad. And then we got some Tales from the Cheap. And also new recording. A new practice recording. This I was trying to actually get some blues guitar parts just for some background music, and came across some vocal thing when I was trying to do some drum tracks, beatboxing, and just fucking around. I think you guys will like it. Then we got a lot of other stuff to talk about too, and that may be the last, 5 minutes of it. It probably would have been about 25 minutes of it. But if you guys really like the podcast and everything, do me a huge favor and go to iTunes and leave us a review of any kind, as long as you like the podcast. And I would really appreciate that. And we'll get on to some NBA news. Hey, hold on. So we're not going to go to any NBA news just yet. I do want to put out that little clip. It's like a minute long. Just me fucking around. But also, I don't know why I said on the cheap. We're not doing any of that tonight. I've been listening to way too much Adam Carolla. But we're going to go over the NBA's dead, which is, not really. But we're going to talk about that. Also, Cavs Summer League. Also, Kyrie and Lebron and some of the stuff that's going on between them. Then some Pawnshop etiquette, Pawnshop fights. And also, your profit is made upon your purchase. So we're going to go over some of that. And, if you guys ever want to leave me any feedback personally, you can send any email to shoptalkwithdrew@yahoo.com. At this point, I could probably put my address on the podcast, and nothing would probably be sent to my, to my place. No boxes of shit or anything like that, but, maybe. So, we're going to get there. I'm going to play this clip real quick for you. And also, tonight is on What's for Dinner, and that should be posted right before this, and it is deep fried pickles. And anything you guys want me to cook, again, hell, send me an email. That's the wrong one. Jesus.
It's not sudden. Preparation.
Yeah, I need to get my shit together.
It's a piece of piss. A monkey could do.
But again, on this clip, think of, Korn or Tool. Not comparing myself to them at all. Oh. In my body. Jesus. Hey. Jesus, I can't keep up with it. Why? You hate me.
In my body. In my body.
Okay. Could be awkward at times. Oh. Practice recording. That wasn't really that funny, but it was more funny when I first started doing it, and I should have kept some of the clips, and I didn't. I deleted them. And again, if I say or or yeah, I'm gonna kill myself because I'm getting real tired of hearing that shit. I know you guys are too. Or yeah. So, and if you guys let me know what you think about the cooking videos opposed to the I don't know what you would call it. They weren't a cooking video, more like me narrating a picture, but I actually cooked the food. So I was just trying to keep it for the podcast, and actually I am. I'm trying to do a little bit different of a format. I don't think you have a whole lot of people putting videos, especially from a podcast. I mean, obviously, I'm not sitting here videotaping myself during the podcast, but I don't think you have a whole lot of people out there. There we go with that shit again. Putting videos onto iTunes. So, again, let's see. Could be awkward at times. I don't know what the hell there, it's right there. Anyways, I was going to cook up some chicken stir fry tonight, and I should have already done it, but I didn't because I got this message from my wife that she was bringing home a deep freezer. So I'm like, man, I got to knock this out. You got the NBA's dead. Of course, that's because of the DeMarcus Cousins, the emotional lesbian, signing with the Golden State Warriors. And I think I was shocked, just like everybody else. I understand why he did it. Then after a couple days, I think everybody just kind of cooled down about it. If anything, I seen a thing out there where it's good for the NBA because the ratings last year were already up. And then also on the finals, after what would be the Game 3 loss, they still had more, more watchers than before. I don't know how far the Edison report even plays into that anymore. And then on to the Cavs Summer League, which was July 6th, Cavs versus Wizards. Cavs win 72-59. Colin Sexton is playing great, by the way. But for me, the real story, which no one's really even talked about this, is Marcus Lee. Now, I'm going to say 6'9" forward, undrafted from California, and also he played a few years at Kentucky. He's a little older than 23. I don't know if he just turned 23, so I was thinking that he might have been redshirted, but I'm not sure about that. I believe he played all 4 years. He always played behind people, Cauley Stein, Karl Anthony Towns, a lot of people. But you got to listen to how he filled up the stat sheet. And first off, I said he's 6'9", and that's Wikipedia. Cavs have him listed as 6'11", and as a center, not a forward. And in 12 minutes, he recorded 8 points, 5 rebounds. Wait, yeah, 5 rebounds, and 3 of them offensive, and 4 blocks and 3 steals, while only having 1 turnover. Cavs got to sign this guy. See, I think I looked on the Cavs app. I don't know if it was halftime or, but I know it wasn't even in the third quarter, and I believe he already had 4 blocks. So, I mean, you can sometimes get 2, 3 blocks on a possession if it's the same guy. I'm thinking that might have happened, but also looking into some of his other, because obviously I didn't watch the game. I wish I would have. If you look into some of his other stats from college, he's a blocker. You know, I don't know that he grew 2 inches. I hope he did. But the Cavs need somebody like this. And when I say what did I say? Marcus Lee? Yeah, I want to say Malcolm Lee, if you guys remember him. And then on the Kyrie Irving stuff, I had one. I don't remember if it was a tweet saying that LeBron didn't care for J.R. Smith or Love or I don't remember who else was on there. I don't know how true that was. But the whole Kyrie, never wanting LeBron back on the Cavs. And I could tell you, and when I talked to my wife about this, she made the point, well, LeBron brought us a championship and stuff like that. Well, the way I look back on it, too, I mean, we still had an okay team. I remember one time Sean Livingston was the backup point guard for the Cavs, and they were playing against the Heat when the Heat had a real long winning streak going on. And the Cavs, yeah, they ended up losing by the end of the game, but for the longest point of the game, they were up like 25 points. 25 points. And Kyrie Irving was hurt. And I don't remember, I'm trying to think who else. Sean Livingston was just playing great. That was like, it was either his breakout year or it was his second year as a Cav. He might have only played 1 year for it doesn't matter. What I'm saying, so I always get this screwed up, and I try to think of him in another podcast, but he dunked on LeBron. He used to play for the Spurs, went to the Cavs, he went to a couple different teams. His nickname's Zoe. Remember his name's Alonzo something. He used to wear number 21. He's like 6'6". He's a built dude. But I want to say in that game too, he also blocked LeBron. But he was a good player, and I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. But yeah, so here's the thing that Kyrie said about LeBron is this guy. I don't know why he quoted it this way. Says it's been made clear to me by multiple people. Kyrie never wanted LeBron to come back to the Cavs in the first place. He didn't think it was necessary. LeBron said to Kyrie on the court following a game when he was with Miami, something to that effect. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. You never know. I could come back there one day. And Kyrie basically said, what is he talking about? We don't need him. But would they want a championship with them with them not coming back? No. But you know what? Kyrie would still be here. And they could have pushed for one. Kyrie's a bad dude, I don't know if he's going to go to the Knicks or anything. And even if him and Jimmy Butler wait a year to go to the Knicks, I think it's irrelevant. But I don't think even on Boston, I don't think Kyrie wants to be there on Boston now that you got all these, you got Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, you got Brown, Tatum, and even Hayward. Hayward is obviously broke his leg in the first game against the Cavs. I think he wants, obviously to be the man. I don't blame him. He could definitely be that in Boston. But I just think they have so many players that he's going to want to go elsewhere. But if he went to the Knicks, I tell you what, and now Porzingis is going to be out for a year. Well, that's what, it's a rumor around the league. For the next year, he's going to be out. And there's a bunch of rumors going on right now. I can't wait till this free agency's over with. Let's go on to some Pawnshop etiquette. And your profit is made upon purchase. Of course, I got to break out with some music. We can get right into it. There's not a whole lot I've got to talk about here. Okay. I had to do it. I had to take a break there for a second. Take the dog out. And I'm a big believer on picking up your dog shit, right? I can't hear it right now, but if you'll probably hear it in a minute of the neighbor's dog whining. Anyways, I can't hear it right now. But yeah, I'm a big believer on picking up your dog shit. And yeah, all these teenagers and stuff, they walk by and on the it'll be like 12:30 at night, sometimes 1:30, sometimes 2. And I have a playground outside my place, and they're just out there. And they're usually not that loud, but sometimes they are loud. But I seen a group walking by one way and another group walking by the other way. Yeah, it's already dark out. And I'm like, fuck it. It wasn't a huge pile of shit. I've got a little dog, but still, I'm just like, it's dark out. I'll leave it out here. Maybe they'll fucking step in it. I don't really care. I mean, they fucking piss me off. So, anyways. So, on to the Pawnshop etiquette and everything. You got a guy named Mancuso. I don't remember his first name. I tried to look him up. From what he said, he played in Wild Cherry. He's a Fender guitar rep. But what a fucking piece of shit. Every job he's had, he's lost. And I didn't say that. My boss told me that. Yeah. So, I ran into him while I was working at the shop, and he was looking for like a 212 cabinet, or I don't remember, 112 cabinet. And of course, in that case, a lot of the guys, they want you to take off the back so they can see what speakers on them. And I don't blame them, because I do the same thing, because I'm a guitar player, obviously. So I ran into him before when I worked at a music store, and this is years ago. I'm talking like 12, 13, 14 years ago. And he was a Line 6 rep. Or he was a Whirlwind rep. I can't remember. I think he was a Line 6 rep. And I asked him that when I was in the shop working. And he said no. I said, aren't you the Line 6 rep? Oh no. So who knows what the hell he was doing at that point. But he's rude. And that gets me to the point of when you go into a pawn shop and you got workers there. Some people think since they know the owner, they don't have to be nice to you or anything like that. Well, you don't have to give them a good deal if you're the worker there, if they're rude to you. And I'm not saying kiss the employee's ass or anything like that, but you got to remember, some of those employees, especially where I worked, we were experts in each category of stuff we had. So if you were in there to buy a guitar or an amp or a bass or any musical instrument and you were rude to me, well, you're not going to get my best price. Even if you start to haggle with me, say I'm at $5.99, $599 on something. And you're like, oh, is that the best price you can do? I used to say sometimes to people, I always give out my best price. I'm trying to sell everything around here, and I worked no commission whatsoever. Other times, I would start high, and if I end up liking the person, because I always didn't start high. If I didn't like the person, you know, but that's just me. So other people might start even higher if they don't like you. That's just if you're trying to buy something. That's just my first, whatever. So, but if you go into a shop too and you have an attitude, I mean, you might. It's funny because you might walk through the shop. And where I worked, there was like 13, 14 people that worked there. So you had to deal with a lot of different faces depending on what you wanted to buy. Other shops, they're going to be small shops. There might be one or two guys working, one of them being the owner or one of the owners, and the other guy just a worker. Sometimes when you go in, the guy not necessarily negotiates with you on what they're going to give to you. A lot of that time, that guy doesn't touch the money at all. Other times, if you wanted to buy something, you had to get a price from the owner. It just depends on where you go and who you're shopping with. Also, if you're trying to buy something, don't go about it with the wrong approach. Don't look it up on eBay and go, here, this is what they're selling for. Because eBay and retail aren't exactly the same thing. Yeah, they're close, but they're not close. And sometimes what you're looking at is not the exact same item. It could actually be in a different color, especially on guitars or other things, guns for that matter. A lot of things. You could be looking up a white gold bracelet that weighs the same amount as some yellow gold bracelet. Those are two different things. You're comparing apples to oranges. It's not the same thing. So get that out of your head. And then on the other side of it, if you're selling something and then you look it up and you go, wow, it's selling for this on eBay. But it's not really selling for that because they're not completed listings. They're just what someone's asking for it. Doesn't also mean what it's worth. And sometimes what someone's asking for something is even less than what it's worth. And if you're buying something or trying to buy something and you're essentially lowballing your salesperson, at the end of the day, that person has to have a job. And I would tell customers that all the time because at the end of the day, I have to have a job. Even before I had a wife, I have to have a job when I go home. I have to have a job to come to in the morning. I can't sell to, even if I could get close to what it was worth, I would sell it. It didn't have to be exactly what it was worth. It had just had to been close. And sometimes I got more than what it was worth, but a lot of the time that wasn't my doing. It was the owner that I work for. Or someone may thought it was worth a little bit more. And to be honest with you, they're probably wrong. If you bring in an item and you have changed the originality to it any way, shape, form, or fashion from stock. So say you have a guitar and you have changed the pickups out on it. Other than maybe Mexican Strat and you upgraded the pickups, now that might be an upgrade to a standard series. To other things, whether it be a bicycle where you change out the rims, and even though the rims were $300, $400, $500, and you made it essentially better, or with a guitar, you change out the pickups, you change something, you change anything on it. Yeah, you essentially made it better. But if it's a guitar that's not a very expensive guitar, see, guitar or jewelry or anything, more so bicycles, blah, 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 guns, bows, arrows, bows and arrows, bows. If you start changing stuff like that, you're already in a specialty market. So you've already taken one thing that was already a specialty item. They're not everyday items. Everyday items are like TVs. You can sell a TV all day long. How many people do you know that don't have a TV in their house? Not very many. Okay? And I was one of those people that was very close to that point at one point. Now I have 4 TVs. Why? Because think about it. I mean, so you took a specialty item. Not everybody plays guitar. Not everybody wears jewelry. Not everybody, fishes or hunts, or the list goes on and on. Car audio. A lot of pawn shops don't even deal with car audio at all anymore. And the main reason why, for one, a lot of the people that hook it up, they end up blowing up their stuff, or they have to hire somebody that might also rob them at the end of the night to install it because they don't know how to install it. They just want some bumps in their trunk, you know. But a lot of the people that buy car audio are fucking assholes. So, other than the guys that buy the old school stuff, those guys are nice. A lot of the guys that don't know what they're buying, or they're buying junk, and they're buying junk because they don't know what they're buying. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't think you know what you're talking about. They can't wrap their head around anything that you're going to explain to them. Why? Because they're dumb, and they're assholes. So, a lot of places don't deal with car audio. This motherfucker. Get back to what I was saying. Sorry about that. You devalued your item. So the item was worth less than what it would have been if it was stock. So it's not stock anymore. And you got to also think, you're bringing in a guitar. Different places have different profit margins. And they have different, business models. You might have a business model. You want to make 30%. Some places, they want to triple their money. Most pawn shops do. And you can't fault the person that you're negotiating with. Or you don't even have to be negotiating. You just have this number in your head. Be realistic about what you want to sell your item for. You got some used DVDs with a bunch of scratches on them. Do you think anybody's going to give you money for them? I got in a big argument with a guy and told him to get the fuck out of the store because he had some DVDs and he had a fucking attitude. So guess what he got? Attitude right the fuck back. And I told him, get your shit and get the fuck out of the store. And I've heard my boss at one point say, I would say to the customer, what do you want for your item? Because you always want to put it out there. It's not my job to figure out how much you want for your shit. So I would just say, how much do you want for it? Or, do you have an idea what you want for it? And the guy said a certain amount. My boss walked up behind me and said, not with that attitude, whatever number the guy said. But, he was in a bad mood that day. But I was rarely in a bad mood, only early in the morning. But keep that in mind, lose your attitude when you walk through the door. Same way if you're going to your job. But a lot of the fucking people we dealt with, not all of them, but I guarantee half of them, they didn't have a job. A lot of them were lowlifes. But not all of them. Just most of them. But not all of them at all. But I was thinking one day, I told one of the jewelers, I'm like, I know every lowlife in town. Because that was the place to go. It still is, actually. But bring an item that has some type of value. Not just, throwaway stuff or stuff you found in your dead uncle's garage, which some of that stuff actually could be really nice or worth a lot of money. But you got to keep in mind, that's few and far between. You're cleaning out houses, you might not find anything that's of any value. But I've heard of guys finding guns, which that's illegal to buy them. I didn't say anything. But old guitar amps, old guitars, little Johnny went out to, fucking Vietnam, and he hasn't came back. And his guitar has been under his bed since 1972. Whatever. So, you got to keep that in mind. That the item has to hold value. And when I look around my place and I want to think of value, well, you might have a TV you bought, say it's a 4K Samsung, really nice TV. You paid $800 for a few years ago, a couple years ago. Well, guess what? That TV's not worth shit anymore because 4K TVs are cheap now, and you can get them real. They just keep the prices just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. You know, technology doesn't hold value typically. Typically, laptops, all that stuff, it doesn't hold value at all.
Cold is the presence of low temperature, especially in the atmosphere.
Shut up. I didn't even ask her. Fucking Alexa. Ugh. Okay, so what does hold value? Well, gold does. As long as the gold prices are high. And if you're a seller, if you're selling to a shop, or you're even selling online, or you're selling to a refinery, which sellers don't know what a refinery is. Look, just because you have a 10 karat gold bracelet and you want to come in and say, well, how much is gold an ounce right now? And you tell them, your item is not pure gold. It's 10 karat, okay? Even if you're 14 karat, 18 karat, it's still not pure gold. We'll get into that more, and I actually might put a video out about how to buy gold. And but things that hold value, things that go up in value, would be guitars. As long as if it's a discontinued model and they don't they don't reissue that model, it will go up in value. Typically. And this is not for everything, but brand name, yes, it will go up. Fender, Gibson, blah, blah, blah. It will go up. It will hold its value. And that's why you shouldn't buy it new. You should buy it used at a pawn shop. And it should go up in value. You should buy it if you get a good deal. Let's just put it that way. So other things that will always go up in value, old guitar amps, they will. But a guitar will always go up higher than any kind of amp or any type of guitar pedal. There are some exceptions to that on the guitar pedal side of it. But like your gold, especially if you're buying it when the economy is really bad and you get a good deal on it, you're doing good. If the economy's doing really good, gold's down, or gold's up, I should say. You knew what I meant. Yeah. You got to take all this stuff into consideration. A lot of places don't deal with stereos and stuff like that. That's old school. A big thing on the market is turntables. And I just sold one. Should have never sold it. I'm still kicking myself in the ass for it. But what I'm saying is, old turntables. Techniques, they had a model that was discontinued. Then, I don't know if Pioneer bought the rights to it. Anyways, Techniques, they had these molds, and the molds were deteriorating. So they had to make new molds, and the molds were real expensive, so they decided not to make them anymore. So Pioneer, I think, picked up on the patent of it, something to that effect. Audio-Technica put out their little rendition of the Techniques 1200. But I think Techniques is back to making turntables. If I'm not, I could be wrong about that, but I really think they are. But that's one thing. Vinyl's back. All these fads, they come back. Old guitars. In the 80s, all these guitars died. The 80s, they killed guitars. From the 60s, from the 70s, even the 50s. Because the popular at the time, when Eddie Van Halen came out, and, everybody had a Floyd Rose on everything, that was because of him. And because of him modifying guitars. So people were drilling holes and cutting out big pockets on guitars to put a Floyd Rose in and put humbuckers in, old Strats and just demolishing these guitars, putting locking nuts on the you know what the fuck I mean. You hear that dog? Oh, let the dog out. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, I think I'll do this more often though, actually. Because I miss it. But I really think people just don't know what the hell they're doing, you know? Here's another good tip, too. If you are trying to sell or to pawn something to a pawn shop, for one, if you're trying to sell it, don't try to pawn it to them. When they go, oh, well, I'll buy it off you for this. And they go, well, and you're thinking, well, I don't really want to sell it. That's okay if you want to pawn it at that point. But if you're just going to lose it in pawn anyways, which is going to affect your credibility, not necessarily your credit, but your credibility with that pawn shop, you're going to want to sell that item instead of pawning it to them. And you go, well, can I pawn it for that? And some people will go, yeah, that's fine. You know, especially if they know you. But then other times, you know, you go, well, I'll buy it off you for that. Or sometimes they'll go, I'll buy it off you for that, but I don't want to pawn it. Now they're just trying to fuck you out of your item. But not necessarily. Some things are only good to buy, and some things are only good to pawn. And some things are only good to pawn, especially if you're a worker there and you know the customer and they get all their stuff back. They could pawn a turd, and they're going to pay it back because they know that you loaned them money on it, and they're going to want to get it back. That's the person that you want to loan to. A person that respects the pawn. They respect that you loan them money on that item. And if it's sentimental to them, you know. But I hope you guys have a good week. I need to get a couple of these in here. The wife's going to be home soon.
Who the fuck said that?
That's right.
Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle toad cocksucker down here who just signed his own death warrant?
I just have to. She's going to come home. I've got a bunch of shit to do when she gets here. And I don't know if I can handle it.
Who the fuck said that?
But let's see if we can get back to this one.
It's not sudden. Preparation.
You know. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July, your Independence Day. Let's go. That's right.
Where's my cat?
I killed your cat, you druggy bitch.
Oh, it sounds like one of my old customers.
I felt
So I hope you guys had a good weekend. Please like and subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, more preferably iTunes. Leave me a review if you can, if you like the podcast, and you guys be safe out there, and everybody out there. Thanks for listening. Take care. Shop Talk Podcast. More Shop Talk Podcast.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Got me thinking, I remember the time.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Ain't no changing what's left.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Because we all race against death.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?